But the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us, to go out before us and fight our battles." When Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. And the Lord answered, "Listen to them and give them a king."
They insist on having a king to be like the other nations. And the prophet Hosea says that in God's anger, God gave them their king. And the prophets over and over remind the people that as the kings do the things kings do, they're only doing the things God told them they would do, and they're kind of getting what they asked for.
But in the move toward a king, we can again see God's upside-down way of doing things, God's way of redemption. A little shepherd boy is chosen to be their king. At one point, he fights a giant with a slingshot. It's clear that God has a very peculiar way of looking at power and strength. It's like when an entire city wall in Jericho was toppled by celebration and music without a single weapon being raised. Or it's like when Gideon rallied an army of over 30,000, but God commanded him to cut the army down again and again till it was a puny little force of 300. That's how God works. Audacious, upside-down power. God's people need not trust in their own strength, in warriors and in chariots. Rather, trust in God's providence. Ironically, this is the intended message carried in the old stories of war and God's protection.
Most divine Caesar. The most divine Caesar, we should consider equal to the beginning of all things. For when everything was falling into disorder, he restored it once more and gave to the whole world a new aura. Caesar, the common good fortune of all, the beginning of life and vitality. All the cities unanimously adopt the birthday of the divine Caesar as the new beginning of the year. The providence which has regulated our whole existence has brought our life to the climax of perfection in giving to us the Emperor Augustus, who being sent to us and our descendants as Savior, has put an end to war and has set all things in order. And having become God manifest, Caesar has fulfilled all the hopes of earlier times. The birthday of the god Augustus has been for the whole world the beginning of the good news, the gospel.
And it wasn't just his language that was filled with this political poetry, but so were his miracles and healings. His whole life was a masterpiece of political satire. And it doesn't take away from the power of the miracles. It only adds to their dazzle when we understand them. Consider this one. Jesus is passing through a town in the country of the Gerasenes. This was 10 federated cities just east of the Sea of Galilee. And as he passes through, he's passing through an area that was sort of a veteran settlement of sorts. It was one of the military hubs of Rome. And he encounters this man who is possessed. The specific word is that he's occupied by an evil spirit. And that word occupation, Galileans knew well, for their land was occupied by a force that was hard to subdue, as the scriptures say. But this force is occupying this man, and he's possessed with violence. He's beating himself. He's forced by those spirits to live among the dead. And Jesus asks him his name. And the man replies, as you may know, Legion. Legion was another word that they knew well. It was a division of Roman soldiers that scholars say numbered usually around a few thousand. Legion was his name. And those demons, Jesus asked them to go into a swarm of pigs. Now, pigs, you'll remember, were an unclean animal. And when the demons go into the pigs, the word says that they charged into the sea, where they were swallowed up and drowned. No one would have missed the poetry of it, that this legion went into the pigs, just like Pharaoh's army. They charged into the sea, and they were drowned. The story ends by saying the people begged Jesus to leave their area. They got the message. Imperial power is bad for your health, but there is a cure for all of us that have gotten sick.